Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be recommending some Brothers Best Friends books, and Brothers Best Friend has become one of my favorite tropes recently. I've been reading tons of books that fall into this trope, so let's just get into the books. My first recommendation is Burnout by Coralee June. This one is about a girl whose mother dies, and right before she dies she tells her that she has a half-brother that she put up for adoption before this girl was born, and she gets in contact with this brother. So she moves in with this brother, and his best friend Decker is living with him temporarily while his house is renovated, and Decker is also a teacher at the local private school. So she ends up moving in with the two of them and ends up enrolling at the school that he teaches at. So it's kind of brother's best friend and student teacher. But the thing that really made this book for me is the tension in it. It is so good. I have read a lot of Brother's Best Friend, and a lot of them they usually try to hide it from the brother, and it's just them dating in secret. But in this book they actually try to stay away from each other, which I think just added this whole other element of tension and angst to this book that I haven't really read anywhere else. And like I said, they're trying not to be together, but they live together and they are going to school together and stuff, so they're always seeing each other. So there's just so many funny and cute little moments that they have, and this one's really good. Next recommendation is 99% Mine by Sally Thorne. This one is very popular. I think this is what everyone thinks of when they think of Brother's Best Friend. This one is about a girl who grew up with her twin brother and this boy from across the street, and now it's fast forward, they're older, and her brother is still sort of hogging this guy as his best friend, and so she can't have him because he's her twin brother's. And he ends up helping her because they're fixing up her grandmother's house to sell it. Her grandmother has passed away and said that they have to fix up the house and sell it and split the money. And so he has been hired to come and fix this house for them. And so she's there and she's kind of trying to help work on the work site and whatever, and he's kind of tripping over her and stuff. And it's just, this one was really cute. It had a couple really sweet moments that I really loved. Next is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I feel like this is another super popular one. This one is about a girl who is going to nursing school. She's already got her bachelor's, but she's going for her master's or her PhD or something. And so she is staying with her brother while she's doing that, while she finds a place in the city that she can live. And so she moves in with him, and across the hall is his best friend, and they're both pilots for the same airline, so they kind of come and go a lot, and a lot of the people in the building are also pilots. And it was just a really interesting dynamic in this one. They sort of agree that they're going to be friends with benefits and nothing more, but obviously that's never how the book ends. But this one's really interesting if you want to check it out. It's very popular. A lot of people really love this one. Next is The Crush by Penelope Ward. I haven't heard a ton of people talking about this one, but it's a little bit newer, so that may be why. And this one's sort of cool because it's a second chance romance, but you sort of read both of their chances. The first chapter is her running into this guy at the restaurant that she works at and kind of freaking out and running out of the restaurant. And then it flashes back 3 years to when she was last with him. And it goes through their whole sort of relationship, and ultimately his leaving, because obviously 3 years later she runs into him at this restaurant. And then halfway through the book it jumps to the 3 years. It was so long, the part where it jumped back 3 years, that I forgot that it had even jumped. And so that was sort of interesting. And then he comes back obviously for other reasons, and you get to see them sort of working through what happened and everything. This one had a lot going on. It kind of reminded me of a Colleen Hoover book actually, and I really liked it. So this is another good Brother's Best Friend book. Next is Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. This is another one where the guy is a contractor. He ends up working for this girl's brother's sort of house flipping business. He is I guess he was a professional baseball player, and he ends up getting injured or something that causes him to not be able to play anymore. And he's super depressed at the beginning of the book, doesn't want to get out of bed or do anything, and this girl keeps showing up telling him he has to get up and get his life together and stuff. And he ends up working for her brother obviously at the house flipping business. And this one is really cute as well because there's sort of some fake dating, because he's trying to make his image look better after his career has sort of ended, and so they sort of agree that they're going to hang out in public all the time, and then obviously things become not so fake. Next is Just for Now by Abbi Glines. This is, I think it's number 4 in the Seabreeze series. If you haven't read the Seabreeze series, you should really read the whole series, but they are all like standalone, so you could read them all separate. You could just read this one. Like I said, this is number 4. It's Just for Now, and this one is about a girl named Amanda who has had this crush on this guy named Preston, who's sort of like the bad boy out of the guys in this group. He's the one that's always dating another girl. Like, he's got like a million different girls on speed dial and like whatever, and none of them want this girl to date him. And so they're all like sort of warning her off of him, but she's like, no, like he's the one I've wanted since I was like, 10 or whatever. And it's just really cute. Like I said, the whole series of this one is really, really good. And they're very, like, if you like Off Campus, these are very similar except without college in it, but they're like college age, so it's very similar vibes. Speaking of Off Campus, the next book is The Chase, which is part of the Briar U series of Elle Kennedy's hockey series. It's the first book in the Briar U spin-off, but it's like the 5th book overall, I guess. And this one follows Fitzy, who's one of my favorite characters of the series, and Summer's very much like into fashion. Fitzy's very into video games, so there's sort of like opposites attract kind of thing going on there too. But basically, Summer comes to this school, Briar, that all of these guys go to, and she needs a place to live, and her brother Dean, who is from the original off-campus books, he says, well, you can live in this house that I used to live in, like they have an extra room or whatever. So she moves in with a bunch of guys and obviously ends up falling for Fitzy. And I really love this one. I thought it was really cute. This isn't a lot of people's favorite off-campus book or Briar U book, but I really liked this one. It really made me want to read a book with dragons in it, which is super random, but Fitzy is like super into fantasy books, and so that just like really like made me want to read a fantasy. That's totally unrelated. Anyway, this is another really good one. It's sort of different because Dean's not really at the school, so he's sort of like being the brother from a distance, so there's not as much like sneaking around and stuff like that, but it's still really good. Next is Be With Me by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I think this is the 2nd or 3rd book in the Wait For You series. They can all be read alone as well. And it's about a girl who was on her way to be like a professional dancer, and she ends up getting injured. So she goes to enroll in college to just sort of get a degree in teaching. She doesn't really hope to ever use it. She's hoping that she can, like, that her leg will heal and she'll be able to dance again, but just like temporarily she's going to school for this as like her backup plan. So she goes to school and ends up falling for her brother's best friend, obviously. But this one had so many like interesting things that I like in books. Like Jace, the main guy in this book, lives on a farm, and I love that in books. I don't know why, I'm just like obsessed with farms, and so I really liked that part. It's also like, if you've read the first book, they're just like really sweet guys, but there's always like some underlying sort of secret in these books, and so they're like really interesting and sort of keep you like reading more and more. And so it's another really good one. Last is Playing for Keeps by Kendall Ryan. This is the first book in the Hot Jocks series, and this is another series, if you liked Off Campus, this is another series of hockey players. It's very similar to Off Campus, so if you like that, you probably would really like this one. And this one starts out with the girl who is at a party for the hockey players, and they're celebrating their like win or whatever, and she ends up in the bed with this guy who's her brother's best friend. And she's like, oh my god, like I can't believe this happened and whatever, and he can't remember anything. Like, he just sort of goes, okay, like nothing, like I don't remember anything happening. And then she's embarrassed, so she like leaves, and there's this whole thing. And this was just so good. Like I said, like if you liked Off Campus, you would 100% like this series. It's so similar, except the only difference is they're mostly not in college. Some of the girlfriends I think might be in college, but all the guys are like professional hockey players. But still really good. So those are all my Brother's Best Friend recommendations. If you have any other Brother's Best Friend books that you think I should read, leave them in the comments down below and I will check them out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below, and I will see you next time.